Welcome back to Testosterone Fantasy Sports. Again, I am your host, Jeff, locking it down with my great friend, Eric Nelson. Again, thank you for joining us, Eric Nelson. Coming from WCCO Radio, real quick, why don't you share with everybody how they can find you on there? I know you're on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yep, this weekend, this Saturday, I'll be on from 2 to 6:30, WCCO Radio, 830 a.m. on your dial, and then Sunday I'll be on from about 4 until 5:30. It all depends on what events we're airing.
Certainly.
I'm usually on with Steve Thompson or Dark Star or former Viking Stu Voigt. We do Pro Football Final. We have a lot of fun, so it's a great station.
Yeah, and from time to time, even Jesse and I stumble our way onto the shows. So keep an eye out for that, too. One other thing, a quick note, make sure to join us this Saturday night after the airing of this show onto our website, testosteronesports.com. You can go on there, log in, and join the Fat Chat. I'll be in there. I believe Jesse and Yeasty typing one-handed with a broken wrist. And maybe after the show, I'll share with you, Eric, a little bit about some of the photos I have of you just to get you to come onto the Fat Chat one time.
But you got Jessica Simpson photos on that site, or what?
I wish, man. I'll tell you, if it was Jessica Biel, I'd probably be there with you. But realistically, though, as far as in Dallas goes, if Romo can't put things together, do you think that they run her out of Texas, or what are they going to do with that girl?
That's the mindset down there right now, especially after that Eagles loss a couple of weeks ago. But and it's all tongue in cheek, but. When I did my radio show last week, and I threw out a ton of topics, including some serious ones like the Mitchell Report and Vikings Washington and all that stuff. And I mentioned Jessica Simpson, and I got more phone calls in an hour than I had on any other topic all year practically. So here's what I'll say about that, though. It wasn't Tony Romo who told Fox to put the cameras on her constantly. It was Fox. And as far as I'm concerned, who would you rather see when you're in between plays? Wade Phillips, Andy Reid, Jerry Jones with his plastic face, or Jessica Simpson? I go with Jessica.
Excellent point, man. Well, I'll tell you, I told her when she was trying to break up with me to go out with Tony that it was a mistake, but she just didn't listen.
Yeah, she's like a moth seeking the spotlight.
Yeah, you're right. So this is another excellent segue because the next team we talk about is from Texas. It's the Houston Texans. They play host to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville roaring into the playoffs right now, and I think they take care of business in a regular way here. Eric, tell me what your feeling is about Jacksonville. Specifically, how do you think they'll fare here in the playoffs?
Well, a lot of people like the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're a physical, pound-away team. Maurice Jones-Drew is a very good young back. Fred Taylor should be in the Pro Bowl. He's not. 10 years in this league. He's running like he's got young legs. David Garrard, let's face it, Jack Del Rio made a decision before the season started. He let go of Byron Leftwich, said, David Garrard, here's the keys to the Porsche, or in this case, the Jaguar. You drive it. And he's driven it very well. And defensively, that's a physical football team, kind of in the mold, I think, of the way Jack Del Rio played with the Vikings and some of the teams that he played with in the NFL. They're a dangerous team, no question. I kind of jumped on their bandwagon when they went into Pittsburgh a few weeks ago in the snow, in the mud, in the sleet, and they popped the Steelers at Heinz Field. That was an impressive win.
It sure was, and I'll tell you, I'd love to see our beloved Purple take a note from Jacksonville's page because they do it with nondescript quarterback play. They grind it out on the ground. They don't have any really great wide receivers to throw the ball to, but their quarterback doesn't make mistakes. So when they win, it's usually to the tune of 16-10, 16-13, and they're always on top at the end. I think this is a team that could find itself in an AFC championship game against the Patriots, and although I don't think that they've got the stones to be able to beat New England, nobody does. I think that would be an interesting game to watch.
Well, it sure would, and if you watched the Monday night game on Christmas Eve, I'm sure you did, San Diego and Denver, one of the themes was the Chargers and the Steelers, who are going to be either the 3 or the 4 seed, depending on how they finish, they supposedly want to avoid Jacksonville. Now, that can be a little dangerous sometimes because that means somebody else is going to get Tennessee or Cleveland and might lose. But point is, Jacksonville is the team that is perceived to be the one you don't want to see in round one. Stay away from Jacksonville as long as possible. So, you know what? They've had a great year. And certainly you have to give a lot of credit to Del Rio and company.
Yeah, they definitely deserve to be in the spot that they're in. So I'm excited to watch the Jags here in the playoffs. Another playoff team, Tampa Bay hosting the Carolina Panthers. Tampa Bay has been having a great season. They've run the ball very well with Ernest Graham. Carolina, not so much. Eric, share with us your feelings about this divisional matchup.
Well, we talked about Marvin Lewis, and is he on the hot seat? I asked the same question about John Fox. Here's a guy that had the Panthers in the Super Bowl a few years ago, and it's been a steady erosion since then. They've been a major disappointment. I know they've had injuries, but everybody does in the NFL. So Carolina, they're playing out the string. Tampa Bay, I didn't see this coming. I mean, Jeff Garcia's been a nice addition. They lost Cadillac Williams in week 1 when he got hurt up in Seattle, but they've been able to come back with this Graham kid. Tampa Bay, to me, is kind of the typical Buccaneers team, the one that won the Super Bowl a few years ago. They relied on defense and steady quarterback play. Garcia's probably a notch above Brad Johnson in terms of the level of play he's bringing at quarterback. John Gruden's still the head coach. So I think the Buccaneers have had a nice rebound season.
Yeah, I really like the Buccaneers as well. I'm very impressed with the way that they've been able to pretty much hang with everybody that they played against, and they usually find a way to win it at the end, except for that really crazy 1-point loss to the Jaguars earlier in the season. What a weird game that was. But moving along, Buffalo going to Philadelphia, two teams who usually play with a lot of heart. Buffalo always seems to get hot at the end of the season. Is this the kind of team that can continue the positivity through next year and start the season hot for once and make the playoffs?
You know, you would think. The problem with Buffalo is geography. They're in New England's division. So until they can figure a way to at least split with New England, win your home game with the Patriots, they're not going to be able to gain control of that division. It's kind of like Jacksonville with Indy. As good as Jacksonville is, they're 0-2 against Indy, so the Colts win the division again. But Buffalo's making progress. The young kid Edwards, I think they're high on him. Marshawn Lynch. Again, I look at that Dallas loss on a Monday night. That changed maybe the texture of the way their season was going to go. They were up on the Giants 14-0 on Sunday, and I thought, whoa, here comes Buffalo. But they let the Giants get back in the game with that great ground attack that went for, I think, 291 yards with Bradshaw and Jacobs.
What a letdown.
Yeah, Buffalo's close, but they're not there yet, and we'll see what they do in the offseason. A
little bit of better quarterback play, I would think, to put them over the hump. Philadelphia, they had all the excitement of a team that wants to try to make the playoffs here this season. However, it didn't go the way that they had hoped. They looked great against us, and then in weeks they would look horrible against other teams who you think that they should win. What do you think about their team going forward here?
One thing we know, Jeff, they have not mailed it in. They go to Dallas, win. They go to New Orleans, win. All they're playing for is pride. So I think Donovan McNabb is trying to make a statement. Whether or not he stays in Philly, I'm not sure. Who knows? He could end up here. He could end up in Chicago. I don't know. I think he's got a lot of football left as long as he's healthy. And then Andy Reid, he's had a horrible year in terms of the family problems. This is a team that's used to being in the playoffs. This is a team that is used to going to NFC championship games and even an occasional Super Bowl. So I think they're going to try to reload and get ready for next year. I will say this, though. Winning at Dallas, at New Orleans the last 2 weeks, that's a pretty good run.
It's impressive. I was actually at the game that we lost against the Philadelphia Eagles, and I was very impressed by just the air of professionalism and pride that they play with. And it seems like when the Eagles are on their game and when they play their style of football, it's really hard to beat them. So.
And I know we got to move on, but let's also point out Brian Westbrook might be the most underrated guy in the NFL.
Yeah, I really like him a lot too. He's having a career season. Everybody thought I was crazy for ranking him at number 4 in my preseason rankings, but I'm super glad that he didn't get injured or something like that. But he's having a great year this year, and he's good for 100-plus yards, all-purpose, and 1 to 2 touchdowns each week. So a real great player for your fantasy team and for the Eagles in general. Moving along to the final matchup of this segment, San Francisco 49ers going to Cleveland. And Eric, I'd like to get your thoughts about Romeo Crennel. In my mind, he deserves to be the coach of the year.
Well, he's going to get votes. Now, that was a disappointing loss last Sunday in Cincinnati because now they don't control their own playoff destiny. They need to win and then hope Tennessee loses or ties Sunday night. And again, the NFL marketing gurus move that Tennessee Indy game to Sunday night. So they're very smart in what they do, very calculating. They're assuming that Cleveland will beat San Francisco. Therefore, the Sunday night game, the final game of the regular season, will have meaning, will have impact. It'll come down to the final, maybe play of the regular season. But I'm happy for Romeo Crennel. He did a great job in New England under Bill Belichick. I think he was feeling the heat early this year. But what a break to get Derek Anderson. The Ravens cut him back in the summer, thinking they would put him back on the practice squad. and the Brownies gobbled him up. And it's Brady who? That's
Yeah,
how
exactly.
good Derek Anderson is.
Yeah, that's right. And I'll tell you, as a restricted free agent, we're the team who designed the poison pill. I really wouldn't mind seeing us sign Derek Anderson to a contract that says, hey, this guy has to be the highest paid quarterback on your team. I know the Browns gave a lot of money to Brady Quinn, so I think that might be the way that we could get our quarterback or our veteran quarterback, to go along with Tavares. But, Romeo Crennel being a defensive-minded coach, winning with offense, I'm impressed to see that because he's going to improve that defense as time goes on.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, that's been his forte. And, you got to like Braylon Edwards and Kellen Winslow, and Jamal Lewis has done a good job. Cleveland's made strides. And here's the difference between the AFC and the NFC. Cleveland could finish 10-6 and be out of the playoffs, whereas Washington could be 8-8, and the Vikings could be 8-8, and Washington would go.
And that shows you just how much better the AFC is than the NFC in your current NFL. So to find out more about the AFC picture, join us in 1 second. We'll be right back to break down the Final Four matchups, and they're all four AFC teams. So we'll finish off the AFC playoff picture here in just 1 second.